have to figure that timing out at some point. And I will. Just not today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is, there it is, Anthony Brokus. I'm the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek, and I welcome you all to this very cool show, back where all these live shows sort of began with the YoloBox Pro. And yes, today we will be talking YoloBox Pro version 5.9. And there's been a couple. There was a 5.7, and then there was a 5.8 that fixed Google thing with 5.7. And then if you didn't do something, you would go directly to 5.9. So kind of confusing. I actually did the title graphic last night thinking we're done. And I did a 5.8, and then this morning it was 5.9. So if there's a bit of confusion to the 5.7, 5.8, and 5.9 are all very close. And after looking at what I have on the YoloBox screen, I'm thinking there could be a 5.95 because I found a couple of little things that they could fix as well. I'm a little lower in the overhead. That's for later. So we'll cover that. But the YoloBox Pro 5.9, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, the updates, and I have an older YoloBox that I haven't updated, so we can very easily see what the differences are as we go through this update. So, as always, first, let me welcome everyone to the show. Thank you all for being here, and as always, I love to know where you're watching from. And worldwide audience, people chiming in already from everywhere, really. Watching from Saudi Arabia, but home is Zambia. Very cool. We have Berlin in the house. And then I love this one. He's watching on Facebook and YouTube. I actually recommend YouTube because when I do the pre-show music and I watch it on Facebook, the music speeds up and slows down, which is very weird. So I just watch it on YouTube, which seems to actually get it right. And then he's also on Facebook. We have Seal Beach, California in here. Thank you very much for jumping in. And we also have Oman. Sheriff Funkology is watching. And once again, watching from Pico Riviera, California, the Kids Productions there. We have Detroit checking in the house. Watching from St. Louis. Who's this? Peace Off Productions. However, said there's very interested in the YoloBox, wondering what software you are using to do this great looking stream and pre-show. I'll answer this question right now because we're not into the deep stuff yet. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I technically have 6 video mixers in front of me. I have the 2 YoloBoxes I'm going to be talking about today. And actually, let's do side by side. I have these 2 YoloBoxes, the old one and the new one. The unupdated one and the updated one. And they've both got a couple inputs in them. And this way I can walk through and really show you that the YoloBox has had 4 years of updates, over 30 updates, and each of them, most of them, are adding features to this device from 4 years ago. And, I think we're basically at the end of the update cycle with this, but I have these 2 in front of me. If you're watching on Instagram, I am actually live on Instagram. Let me make this a little larger here in case somebody comments on Instagram. How do I make this larger? Oh, that button. They moved it. I am live on Instagram. So if you're watching Stream Technology on Instagram, I am live on Instagram. And how am I doing this look? So this box inside of a box, this is being done on a Magewell Director Mini, which I switched to well over a year ago. So this box inside of a box is happening inside of that with the background and the thing across the bottom, and there's no border over top of it. Well, there is. It's right there. And the titles are actually happening in Restream Studio. So that is how I am taking the output of the director, which is good for production, but kind of limited in terms of streaming. You can stream from the director to 2 destinations. You have to send 2 streams. I am instead going HDMI out into a PC, and that I'm bringing into Restream Studio for the titles. And it's also going to Facebook, my profile, Facebook StreamTek page, YouTube StreamTek page, LinkedIn my page, which it was another person's question, and Twitch. So I've got 5 different outputs, and if you find me on Twitch and LinkedIn, you can comment, and the Restream will bring the comments in from all of these different destinations and make it very easy for me to see all the comments on the screen and to also put the comments into the show like this one. So you're responding from making a comment from YouTube, and that's what I'm using. And if you are so inclined, I just did a show last week about Restream Studio, and I mentioned a few times that if you were so inclined, I actually have an affiliate link with Restream that gets you in the door. You can use bit.ly/ST Restream, StreamTek-Restream, and try out Restream with this affiliate link. There's a free plan. You can go in, poke around, do whatever you want, start playing with it. The studio will have a watermark in the free plan. But you could also use it just for restreaming to multiple destinations via RTMP. Or if you're watching this on a computer, you can use your phone to scan this QR code, which will take you to the same place. And that way you can, figure this stuff out on your phone while watching the show. So I just throw that up there. They are not sponsoring the show. I pay for Restream. I've been a paid user of Restream for years, specifically because of the ability to restream my content to multiple destinations and bring all those comments in for me. The YoloBox also has a restreaming capability in it, and that's one of the things that really does make it very useful is that, let's go side by side, these 2 boxes, as many of you, if you don't already have a YoloBox and you're just sort of checking this out, the YoloBox from the very first unit has always offered a multicasting capability. Let me go to the old one. You can come down here, local video source, program, streaming mode. So you can go directly to a single platform. Let me just bring that one up by itself. That's this one, right? Yes. You can go directly to the single platform, which is the default. So I want to go to YouTube. Boom, I go to YouTube. Great. But you could use the YoloLive's multi-streaming service, which is basically kind of like Restream, but a little more limited. It's free. It's included with every single YoloBox, which has been a fantastic feature, kind of unique to the YoloBox, I think. Because if you got an Osee Duet and you want to go to 3 destinations, you're sending 3 streams. If you got a vMix and now you can send to 5 destinations, you're sending 5 streams, unless you leverage a third-party service. YOLO has it built in, and what this does is you set it, you click that button right there. What it's going to do is it's going to send 1 stream to YOLO's servers, and then from those servers, it's going to go out to 3 destinations, which means you don't have to upload as much. You're only sending 1 stream. Your bandwidth goes down, your data rate goes down. It's super cool. Built in, done. And then that way I can come over here to the streaming destinations and I can say, I want to go to this one, that one, and the other one. I'm not going to activate them because then it's actually going to create these events that I then have to go and clean up. But you can activate 3 of those simultaneously. And just to be clear, the YoloBox has APIs for, which means like kind of built in, you just have to log in with your account and then you have access to everything. So you don't have to deal with Restream keys and URLs with the API. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. That's it. There's no LinkedIn API. There's no Bilibili API. There's no API for Wowza, for anything else. Anything else you want to go to is going to be a manual RTMP that you could build here, but I actually prefer to build the RTMPs on the YoloCast back end, and then they will appear over here like that S4 Scratchpad did. So that hopefully answers the question as to how am I doing this? I'm doing this through a combination of methods. And I should mention, like, I already said, I'm on Instagram and all this stuff, but I have the two YOLO boxes in front of me. I'm producing on the Director Mini. I'm bringing the comments in via Restream. And this, what's in this box is actually another switcher. So on that box, I have an ATEM, which allows me to switch between the two YOLO boxes in that box, just like that, and allows me to, bring my overhead camera in. So that's how I'm doing that switch. I could technically have all that stuff going into the Director Mini. It's just easier to have physical buttons to do that. So that's hopefully answers that question. Sorry about the diversion, everyone. Again, I appreciate everyone waiting through the beginning of the show where I give everyone a welcome and then asking you, where are you watching from today? Because if you haven't already chimed in, throw it into the comments. And as you've already seen, throw your questions in the comments. You are here. I am here. We're both here at the same time, so you can benefit from 25 years of live streaming experience and years of working with YOLO boxes to throw those questions into the comments. But it's not limited to just the YOLO box. You could ask a question about something else, and that's fine too. If it's not too far off to the side, I'll do my best to answer it. I'll be honest, I'm not AI. I am not going to search the entire web in 0.3 seconds and give you an answer that's wrong. If I don't know, I'm just going to say, I don't know. But if I do know, or if I can attempt to answer the question like I just did, I will give you a brain dump like you would not believe. All right. So throw those streaming questions in there. We had a good question that actually relates to the thing. After updating, should we factory reset? I know this has been going back and forth, that they did a major update to the underlying code and says you don't have to do a factory reset every time. I do it anyway because it clears whatever caches are in there. You have to sign back into your Wi-Fi. In certain cases, you have to log back in to your socials again. Interestingly enough, I did a factory reset after the 5.9 and I didn't have to log back into my socials, which I thought was a little weird because the factory reset should be clearing all of that stuff, but it didn't. So, a comment comes in. Prova USB-E Cynthia. I think you're asking about USB-C for audio. I can't actually parse. I don't speak Spanish, and unfortunately, if I was on Facebook, I could have Facebook translated. I can't have my production software translated. That's not a capability in the production software. So I apologize. I'm not able to parse your question fully. We got Oman, Pico Riviera. We also have Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you for being here. And Mike from Little Rock. Thank you very much, Mike. Let's see who else we got. We got freezing in LaSalle, Illinois. Yeah, unfortunately, not so bad in Texas. We're going up to 60 today. So, thank you. John Shaughnessy, good evening. Good evening, John. Watching on Facebook. I dare anybody to hunt me down on LinkedIn or Twitch and make a comment. So on LinkedIn, it's my name. On Twitch, it's Stream Technology. I want to see where it says Facebook. I want to see a Twitch and I want to see a LinkedIn. If we could do that, that'd be kind of cool. John Shaughnessy is in Ireland. Thank you very much. Oatsi from Botswana. I hope I said that okay. I hope. My first try. We got Norfolk, United Kingdom. We got Corfu, Greece. Andreas watching from Corfu, Greece. Thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate that. Awesome info. Thanks. You're welcome. Happy to help. Like I says, I will do my best to answer. I don't know everything. I will be first right. I am still learning. I know some things. I don't know other things. I'm just like you. I'm always still learning. There's always more to learn. Hey, look, there's a new update. I have to learn that too. Do I know when the vertical option for the YoloBox Extreme is coming? Thank you, Jimmy, for the question. I don't. And I am not part of the engineering team with YOLO. I am an independent producer. YOLO's not paying for this show. YOLO is not a sponsor of this show. I got the YOLO boxes back when I was directly working for YOLO, and I still have them. So that's where that comes from. But I don't have any inside information as to when the vertical option for the Extreme may be appearing. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one. And that's me giving you an honest, I don't know answer. And he also says, greetings from Seattle, where hopefully it's nice and temperate because of the water. Let's circle back. We got a couple good questions coming in here. Try replay. The main audio cuts out on the USB output. The audio changes pitch and makes the voice unrecognizable. There have been, and I looked through the Facebook group. If you aren't already a member of the Facebook group for the YoloBox YOLO Live Facebook group, it is very active. It is very interactive. It is very busy and very informative, because people will jump in, will test it, and you will find people saying this stopped working. It's working great for me. You'll find people on both sides of that spectrum, from it screwed up everything to it's all working great, and everywhere in between. Sometimes a factory reset is needed. Sometimes other things might be needed, and that's going to be the case with potentially any update. Sometimes we can choose not to do it, like with these. It comes up with a window. It says there's an update, and you can choose not to do it. And I actually did a show on my channel saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Look at the features that any company is offering with an update. Do you need those features? If you don't need those features and it's working, it's doing the job, it's doing what you want it to do, and at no point in the changelog does it say it fixed this bug or it rearranged, it did something that you need done. If none of that is there, there's not a reason for you to update. The old axiom, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, applies. Now, with Windows machines, most of my Windows machines are Windows 10, which thankfully is not getting any more updates. So Windows, thankfully, hopefully, won't break stuff. I have one Windows machine that's Windows 11, and that's constantly getting updates whether I like it or not. Even if I shut the machine down, it still gets and installs updates. You cannot stop it. Same with their browser. I launched the browser. Hey, it's been updated. Like when? How? You were off. But I digress. You have the ability with the YoloBox to not update if the update does not offer the features you want. Let other people who want to jump in, see if the water's, let them tell you, is the water okay? Or is the water a little too cold, a little rough, or whatever. If the majority of people saying, hey, this is all working pretty good, then you can jump in too. If the majority of people are saying, this is messing other things up, don't jump in the water. Another question comes in from Funkology. I'm using the OBSBot Tail 2, with SDI to HDMI converters. The Tail 2 has HDMI out, but the video isn't appearing on the YoloBox Extreme. Any idea why, especially since the HDMI and NDI are working fine? So you are using the HDMI, or is the HDMI on the Extreme working, but you're not using the HDMI out on the Tail 2. You're using a converter. So I would take the HDMI converter, run it into an Atomos if you happen to have it, because then it would tell you what the output is. If you're doing 4K out the SDI, SDI is probably not doing 4K, whereas the HDMI will do 4K. So there's a lot of variables in here in this, but if you're getting it via HDMI and NDI, do you need a third input? I'm a little confused about the thing. Any ideas why it would not? If the converter is getting a 4K signal, or if the Tail 2 is in 4K and it's not set to down convert, that the SDI might not be active. Let's see. Okay, did that one already? Very excited about this one this morning, as we'll be using our Pro for our holiday performances this Friday. Yes, again, as I've said, and I've literally done shows about this, if things are working now and you have something big coming up, do not update. Update when you don't need it. And again, if you are watching on any of those other platforms like Twitch and LinkedIn and things like that, you can go to the StreamTek page over here and look up any information you want to find. Like if you wanted to, oh, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. If you come over here and say updates, trying to find that. There it is. Updates. Stop. Streaming pros stop the auto update, and it's a show talking about the fact that you can manage updates on most things, and if you have the ability, if things are working, like we've got it set, everything seems to be working fine, unless there's a particular bug that is just hurting you every time that gets fixed, then you update. If there's a new feature like the Pro got added NDI and you really want to make use of that one channel of NDI that was added to the Pro and you don't have anything coming up, and you can try it out and like do the update. Because remember, on these devices, these are Android tablets, once you update the firmware, there is no going back. There is no rollback. This is not a PC. This is not like, you know, oh, let me just take the old app, put it over here to the side, and then install the new app. No, you update the app, just like iPhone, just like your Android phone. When you update the apps, that's it. You're here now. You are that, you know, you have this new thing, even if this new thing, like I updated Google Snapseed, and the new Google Snapseed, which is a photo tweaking tool, completely new interface, which I do not like. That's it. I'm in the new interface. I cannot go back, as much as I don't like it. But that's the way it is. So updates are up to you on the YoloBox. They're not up to you in other places, but the YoloBox and they are up to you. So if you have something coming up that is important and everything right now is working, you're confident, all those pieces are put together, do not do a big update because it might affect one of the things that is working correctly now. That's what I always say about that. Also, you can find more information about me on streamingmedia.com. I write a bunch of articles for Streaming Media. If you want to reach out to me directly for consulting or one-on-one advice, you can reach out at the Contact Us page at streamtek.us. I also started a B4 on Micro Four Thirds. It's putting those big ENG lenses on Micro Four Thirds cameras. On Facebook, I also have a group for AirMix, which is an iOS app for live switching multiple iPhone devices and Android devices as cameras. So old cell phones as cameras on an iPad. It's free and completely open and not supported anymore. But hey, go check it out. My sister does art. So if you're curious about some art, on multiple triptych canvases and music-inspired artwork here, you can go to 17 Second Studio. I think it's .org. And no, we're going to skip over that one. And we're going to come over here. So YOLO Live has this update. And I always say you can come down here to the frequently asked questions, the change log. And my last check, it wasn't there. I begged them for this for years. They finally did it. So now per device, you can see what the updates are and get information about them. So you can click on the YoloBox Pro. That's going to bring up the YoloBox Pro history. Eventually, there it is. So you can see this, the YoloBox Pro has had a long, there's 29 here, but of course it ends with 570, not the 580, not the 590. So there's at least 30, and there's probably a couple little bug fixes in here that aren't counted as updates. So the YoloBox has had 4 years of features just being brought into this device that weren't there when it first came out. And so the YoloBox is kind of very mature at this point. It's kind of at the point where adding more to it. Oh, can I bring in a second NDI? No, You can't, because it's a 4-year-old, technically when it was designed, 5-year-old piece of hardware using a 5-year-old chip and, you know, hardware that's in there. It's outdated at this point. That's why an Ultra came out. That's why the Extreme came out. Would I personally like YOLO to take the Pro and then update the chip, keep everything else the same, but update the chip, make it possibly capable of 4K, but also just give it more horsepower with a 5-year newer CPU? That would be great, I think. And that would, you know, have the, you know, YoloBox Pro 2. Do the same with the Mini. There's times when you just need the one device, but hey, if we could do that one device in 4K, that would be cool. Let me know if you think a version 2 of these devices would be great. But here you can see over here, they've had lots of updates, and the 5.7.0 supports adding SRT and RTMP as video sources. So people have been begging for that from their GoPro or from an SRT camera or whatever. That's in there. Support adding web page sources. So your web page can be a source that you can, you know, work with. Copying independent transition settings, mirroring, rotation, and more. So you can copy them between sources. Multi-view. More multi-view templates are being put in. Customized multi-view. Again, if you were desperate for an SRT input and then they add an SRT input, then you would look really hard at this update and say, I really want to try that out. That provides real value to me. If you're like me and I don't use SRT as sources and I don't use RTMP devices as sources, I use NDI, then I would be like, that's not for me. It's not something I feel the need to install the update to get something I'm not going to use. Audio control. The audio mixer interface has been redone. And it supports independent audio follows video settings, which is very cool. I'll show you that in a minute. Added background music. So if you want to have, you know, just some chill music playing in the background of your entire stream, that's there now. Overlays and scoreboards. The overlay supports YoloCast, time and video overlays. Video sources and overlay pages support new layout settings. And the scoreboard has or comes with more styles. Replay supports a replay playlist. Intro, outro, which we typically could call stingers. So you can stinger, you know, and then you got the replay and then stinger back out, just like watching any major sports broadcast. And custom replay logo, so you can like change the logo in the corner there. That's really useful. New functions, support for saving previous live events, duplicate and reload. So that way, you know, people say, well, I want to save my show and I want to use it again. Realistically, I would say duplicate your show into a new show. That's been there for years, actually, so that you can say, okay, this was last week's show. Now I'm going to duplicate it into a new event, give it a new name, new title, new thumbnail, and I'm going to go in, drop in some new media. I'm not trying to exist in the same studio space and have like various media pieces that are still laying around and I have to go and delete stuff. I just duplicate it and move it forward. Added a CPU usage indicator, which has been fairly standard on the newer devices, but on this older device, it actually really comes in handy because, again, you're dealing with an older processor, so this CPU usage indicator tells you how hard you're pushing your device. You know, you can, just like with any computer, any PC, you could push it too hard and then it's going to start dropping frames. I did a show years ago where I just threw everything at it. I have multiple videos on there. I've got this going on. I've got, you know, a ticker. I've got a countdown and everything. I got it down to like 15 frames a second and it was just all sorts of choppy because I was asking the computer to do too many things. And you can do that. Now that you have the CPU usage indicator, you have a speedometer gauge. Am I asking too much? Okay, I need to find a way to ask it to do less so that it can do what it's doing more reliably. Adds PTZ camera control, which you can do over NDI. I hope it supports NDI out, which is something it didn't support before. When they added NDI, it was an NDI input only. So that's very cool. If you are heavy into NDI, that would be something of great value to you. supports YoloDeck for more functions. If you don't have the YoloDeck, I find it to be a great accessory. It is a hardware interface, plugs into the USB port, is powered by the YoloBox itself, and it gives you a tactile interface to just make tap, tap, tap everything on the front. UI and layout optimization. More optimization needed. More language support as well. So Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, German, French, Japanese, Korean, and Thai, which is way better than me. So those are the key additions into 5.7.0. That was the last big update. 5.8 fixed a Google thing and tweaked it, and then 5.9 rolled both of those into one thing. So 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, that's kind of what we're all talking about here. Let's see if any other comments have come in. Asante Lucas says, after I updated my Ultra, it started dropping frames and wasn't getting enough bandwidth from my Ethernet connection. Interesting. After I ended the stream, it would say network error. Did this with the previous version of the firmware? Do a factory reset. As always, that's what I recommend, because you know you're putting in a new app, but sometimes there's pieces from the old app libraries, and you know these apps are not one homogeneous thing. They consist of like 100 different little files. And so there may be legacy pieces in there. So if you do a factory reset, it should clear out the garbage and hopefully clear things like that up. That's what I would recommend. And then also jump into the Facebook group, because you could talk with other people who may have seen that, worked through it, and figured out what it was as well. And another streaming question has come in. LinkedIn Live on YoloBox is possible via RTMP only, but cumbersome, very. And it's not all the fault of YoloBox. LinkedIn is a pain in the ass as well, because they don't let you get the RTMP and the stream key until like an hour before the event, which is crazy to me. And I've begged them to just go a week out like everybody else does, and they won't. More complicated than with StreamYard, where you have the API. What are your hints and best practices? I use Restream, covered that at the beginning. And unfortunately, the workflow is dictated by the platform. LinkedIn determines that you can only come in via, unless YOLO adds the API, the only way you can get content into LinkedIn is via RTMP, and then you are subject to the way that LinkedIn does limit you to get the RTMP information until right before the event. Pain in the ass. Yes, I know. I was there. Also, one of the reasons I went to Restream. And I'll just throw this up there one more time. Oh, can I do the... Yeah, okay, good. I have an affiliate link to Restream. So if you do want to try it out, get the free studio, see if you want to, use Restream to go out to LinkedIn and make it a whole lot easier, because you could just, you can use Restream Studio, which is what I'm using, or you can not use the studio at all, have a single output to Restream, and have Restream do the multicasting. And it includes LinkedIn. It includes more than 20 different destinations. But how many destinations you can have live is dependent upon the plan you pick. So just throwing that out there as a possible solution. Why, when I close that, you don't close this? There you go. I think I've covered all of the early questions. Hello from Robstown, Texas. I'm a high school AV teacher using the Extreme. Cool, nice. I just purchased the Pro to use on the road. Very different. You're going to figure out they're very, very different. The Pro is 4 years old. The Extreme is new. And the Extreme has some massive hardware advances, multiple CPUs. And it's able to do a lot. The Pro, you really have to dial down. But if your show is very simple, the Pro fits very, very well. Any updates also for the YoloBox Mini or the first one? No, first one is end of life. First one, I think at the beginning of 25 or even the end of 24, it was announced that the first YoloBox from 2017, it's almost 10 years old, that one is end of life. You know, it still does. It still works. It still does what it does. It didn't stop working. But if you're looking for more capability to be crammed into a device with 2017 technology, that's not going to happen. The Mini, I was told, has the same or very similar level processor as the Pro. I feel that the Mini is sorely due for an update, because if we go back to this changelog, you know, so the YoloBox Pro in 2005, 11/24, that's the update. Obviously, we're in the 12th month. So let's go back over here. Let's go to the Mini. I don't know why it throws open into a new page, why they have it set up like that. The YoloBox Mini version history. Let's scroll down here. And the last update was the 150 back in 2023. Now, either they didn't update this page, or the Mini is really lacking in updates. And if the processor is comparable to the Pro, there's a lot of updates that can really be brought into the Mini. Really, honestly. It should be able to handle a lot of tweaks, updates, fixes. NDI, if it can handle NDI, then you can get 2 inputs in there. Maybe, you know, let's see. That would be great. That would be something that I think the Mini and the InStream is just there's a lot of things with the InStream, which I use for my Instagram live right now. I use for the Instagram. That is really due for some updates. There's the sole fact that on every single YoloBox, you can create a show either in the monitor mode or in streaming mode. And when you leave, shut it down, wake it up, come back, it's kind of all still set up there. The InStream doesn't even do that. And it bugs me completely. Every single time I do a show, every week, I have to build the show from scratch. It's going to bring in the cameras, and then I have to like rotate, crop, size, green screen, background. I have arrange, picture in picture, put the graphic. I'm like, oh my God. The only thing it does remember is my Instagram account, and it remembers that I created a graphic. Other than that, every camera, every tweak I do to the cameras, completely forgotten. The picture in picture, gone. It's all gone. And it just frustrates me that can't you remember that? Because the Mini, the Pro, I think even the original one would remember if you designed something and you created a picture in picture. But as we can see, the Mini is long overdue for an update. And I hope YOLO takes this, you know, okay, we did the Pro, quash the bugs, get it settled, go do the Mini. Do you think they could or would make a YoloBox that's PoE? If they would, it'd have to be PD power, you know, 3 amps or more, 45 watts or so, like a laptop. And technically, oh, power over Ethernet. Yeah, I don't know if you can deliver that much power over Ethernet. I mean, it's USB power already, and there are PoE to USB converters, so you could kind of do it that way. Will YOLO do it? Probably not, because you'd have to like completely change the layout of the device to take the DC off of the Ethernet and run it into the power circuit of the device and convert it to the voltage that's needed. I'm going to say no. That's way off. The InStream should allow you to have mix minus, has better processor than the Pro. The InStream it might not be enough processor, because even the Pro does not have mix minus. We had to get to the Ultra before we got mix minus. And the Ultra is a whole leap forward of several years better chip and more hardware and bigger fan. So that big leap created the space, the capability to handle the mix minus, because technically with mix minus, you're doing 2 different mixes at the same time. You have 2 audio mixers running concurrently, the audio that I'm listening to and the audio that's going in program. And mix minus is that level of difficulty. It should, but it doesn't. And add the instrument. You need to fix the ability to go to YouTube. Yes, the InStream. Hey, let's go check. Since we're talking about it, let's close this window, since now that I know it keeps opening new windows for no reason I can see. We'll go to the InStream version history. 2023 is the last one right there. I kind of think there was something more recent than 2023, 24, maybe a tiny little thing in 2024, a bug fix or something. This was the last big feature update where they simultaneous live streaming in the two platforms so that you could do TikTok and Instagram. That was definitely a big update. And for a lot of people, that was like, yes, I need 1.8. After that, I think they've had a couple bug fixes, but it's definitely due for, let's look at it again. Let's streamline the software. Let's go through and make it remember settings and things like that. That would be great. So yes, the in-stream is definitely, it's due as well. Another question comes in. Any possibility that the Pro will allow more than 2 local videos from USB or similar to the Extreme, or is it limited by the processor? It's probably limited by the amount of RAM, because those things have to be kind of preloaded so that when you click on it, it plays. It's not going to fetch it. And that is probably the limiting factor, because those devices are, 4.5 years old, almost 5 years old in terms of the technology. When they were designing it, how much RAM do we put on the motherboard? How fast is the RAM connected to the CPU? And when they're doing that engineering stuff, that is what we're looking at today. Is it more than 2 local videos? I really doubt it. I really, really doubt it. Plus, the fact that you now have, that they added the ability to do 2 means you could be watching one and then cycle the other one. Close one out, bring another one up. Then you play this one. And while this one's playing, close this one out, load another one. So the fact that you can ping pong or, bounce back and forth between the 2 gives you figuratively the ability to just keep going with videos, even if you don't have them all preloaded. Demo Crates 9535 says, I upgraded my Pro to 5.9. It looks totally different. I don't think it looks totally different, but there are differences. So that is a great segue. Thank you very much for that. And again, throw your comments throw your questions, comments, thoughts, queries, great ideas, bad ideas. And then also feel free to let me know where you're watching from. As always, love to know. Throw it into the comments. This will be a fun show. So I'm going to mark this one with a star, and let me jump over to side by side with the overhead. So here's the 2 devices, and I don't think they look completely different. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to exit. I created 2 temp shows. Done. I have old YOLO and new YOLO on here, and you can see they're being reflected. Again, this is from your YOLO account. When you create an account, you have it. It's more than just logging into your device. There's a cloud service. If you don't know that already, there's a cloud service for YOLO, and the Pro, the Mini, the Ultra, and everything, they share that cloud. So I created the new YOLO show on the new YOLO, and it populated over here. I created the old YOLO show on the older firmware, old YOLO over here, and it populated over here. They're able to see the same cloud from 2 different devices because you're on the same account. Again, it's a great feature. Hi, Alan, watching from Denver, Colorado. Great to see you. Now, you can see the top is a little different. This one's got this cool logo over here. This one doesn't. Standard events, YOLOcast events. Standard events, YOLOcast events. You've got a back out here so you can do live streaming or monitor mode. But where is that here? Well, you just say new, and then it comes up with live streaming or monitor mode. It's the same thing, it's just arranged slightly differently. You see what I mean? But what I wanted to go into is here, I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to go into my about device, and we can see I've got 5.5 over here, and go into my settings, about device, I've got the 5.9 over here. So this is what we're working with on these 2 devices. 5.5, which is not that long ago, to 5.9. Actually, 5.5, let's go and look. 5.7, 5.5, they don't have dates on here. which is a shame. It would be nice for them to actually put the dates when the 5.5 came out. 5.5 supports the YOLO deck. That's what was added. Network bonding update, and fix the issue causing crash due to YoloCast overlay. So that is the last big update that this one has, is the YOLO deck capability. So we're going to come out, wherever you are. And we're going to go into my old YOLO show. We're going to go into my live streaming. And then it's going to bring up this screen. I'm going to go into the new YOLO show. Now, again, I have these, kind of set up, bonding exactly the same, because bonding is YOLO's bonding. And all these devices, the Pro, the Mini, I think the original one too, maybe, did it? Maybe not. The Pro, the Mini, the InStream, the Ultra, the Extreme, all of them will let you bond. And bond, I have several videos on my YouTube channel, go check it out, about bonding. What is bonding versus multiple WANs or whatever. You can have a SIM card in these devices. Then you could attach a Ethernet cable to the local, what the facility says. Oh, here's your internet. You can plug in here. And you could use your cell phone via Wi-Fi into these devices. So now you've got 3 different connections. And then bonding built in will take those 3 connections and put them together into 1 connection. It's not about going faster, but it's about making sure that as things change, and it's able to still get the signal through. That's what bonding is about. You can get it for $29 a month. Not a promo. I'm not making any money. Or $2.99 a year. Next icon here. Actually, the first thing I'm going to show here, you look at this, the bottom here, and let me go to me over. You can see this doesn't exactly go to the bottom of the screen like this does. In fact, let me go like this. Here's the bottom of the screen, but there's a gap. I don't know what happened here. Like, this is what I'm talking about, interface issues. So if I bring this up, you can see, like, that's me dragging up from the bottom, that black doesn't go all the way to the bottom. There's part of the screen that's not being used, and I don't know why. There's just there's a horizontal line, at least on mine. Hey, if anybody out there has got the 5.9 update, check your Pro, look at it, and tell me if you have that gap too. Very interesting. The type at the top has gotten smaller, so there's more space in the middle, but it's like this middle part has been moved up, but this part of the interface should be at the bottom, not floating above the bottom of the screen. Whereas if I go to the other one, you'll see it's now against the bottom. This is against the bottom. The other one, it's elevated so that the bottom of the screen is now floating above for no reason I can fathom. So I can see that as the next bug fix. It's the 5.9.1 update. Anyway, continuing on. Let's go to the overhead. So I've got these 2, and next up we got titles. And this is actually, you can see that the overlays kind of look the same. Here you see the CPU at the top there. There's no CPU on the old one. It tells you your data rate, time, and everything, but there's no CPU. So this CPU right there, I think, is a fantastic feature. I'm using 39%. I'm using 40% to bring in 3 inputs. I'm not doing anything with them yet. I'm just taking that much CPU to bring in those inputs. Overlays. I could say, bring me a new overlay. This looks very different, but it's actually not that different. Here's your web URL overlay and YoloCast. Well, here's your web URL overlay, and if I touch it, there's YoloCast. That's kind of the same thing. They just nested it differently. You got images. Oh, wait, let's go back in. Images. Actually, I should do it down here. Images, lower thirds, countdown timer. We covered that one. Titles, social, and then the 2 new ones are getting a timer, so you can put a clock on there, and adding a video source as an overlay, which was a very requested feature. A lot of people, for whatever reason, wanted to make a video source as an overlay over top of something else and not do it via picture-in-picture. That's possible now in the Pro. So those are the things. Another thing I really want to point out is this YoloCast. You know, you can use a web URL. So if you are using, what is it? Overlays.uno. And that is a website that you can see app overlays uno. It's a website that you can build overlays and then you get a URL. And then you take that URL and you put it into the web URL. And now you have the graphics being created in a graphics machine. And then that output is being brought in. It also comes for free from YOLO, if you don't know that already. So you can go to YoloCast. I can go to, and it's going to automatically pick up the things that I've created there. Image overlays. Let me go back. Where am I? Web URL overlays. Choose from YoloCast. And it's going to load the same stuff. All of this I have created. If I go over to my YoloCast, once you log in here, on the left here, there's the overlay lab. It says beta. It has said beta for years. I don't think it's a beta anymore. But all of these graphics, and there's different types of genres up here. There's lots of different games that you could choose. All of these different graphics are available. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. There's a lot of stuff there. All of this is available through this window. And then, so that you don't have to go and hunt for it, you come over there and you find something you want, you customize it, and then you add it to my overlays. And now I have a subset of things, and this is what's appearing on these devices. So I can have my QR code, I can have a lower a scrolling thing on the bottom is here, I can have the sports thing, I can have Frank's lower third right here, you know, because Frank's an awesome guy. I have to have a title for him. And so I have that right there. And that way you can, and it's interesting that you're in my overlays and third-party graphics, which is what I thought that first box was for, right? Isn't this one for third-party? Okay, whatever. But when you go into YoloCast, this is included. This is part of your YOLO Live account. You get the multicasting service that's included. You get this built-in overlay thing, and then you can build your own My Compositions. There's an overlay library, but then you can go into these things. You could build your own custom colors, custom design, custom width. You go build it, have fun. And then the cool thing is you can have somebody else doing your scoreboard on an iPad and, you know, making the changes and updating it and stuff like that. And you don't have to worry about it on your YoloBox. Very cool. And then there's also web control of your YoloBox too. I'm not really going to delve into that. Question came in. Can I recommend a 4G USB dongle? I actually can't. So unfortunately, sorry. I have an older one. It's a 3G. This ZTE that has been a really cool one for me. And I did a video on this, getting your stick to work. You can find that on my YouTube channel. This one is really cool. I like it. But I think this particular model is not available anymore. But it does 3G, which is depreciated, and 4G and LTE. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a 4G only dongle. Most of them are, I don't think anybody's selling hardware today that is not 4G LTE. If you look for a 5G dongle, know that in many cases, not all, not too few, in many cases, 5G is all about download speed, which helps you not at all. A 5G dongle does not mean that your upload speed increases. It means that your download speed, which could be your web graphics, but your download speed increases. What's important for live streaming is your upload speed. And many of those 5G services still rely on 4G and 4G LTE for upload. So, that being what it is. Let us continue. Me over. So these are the overlays, back out, back out. Streaming destinations. Nothing has really changed in either of these, that as you can see. There's some tweaking of the layout a little bit. You can see that this is kind of scooted up. This is a little smaller. The little info, like the click on to get YOLO Live support streaming, the little help I info things are not as prevalent as they were, but by and large, the big screen, go live, record, replay, your settings for the show, which are here, are now somewhere else in the new version. But the meter, if I come over here to this show and I say go to the audio and turn this on, I still have the same really bad, not very accurate mono audio meter. I don't get to see stereo, and I don't get to see if I have a microphone coming in one channel, if it's only in the left, which I really prefer. And the newer, bigger boxes do have stereo meters, which lets you see, ooh, I gotta fix that. So it's only coming in the left channel. That's really good. Continuing on, people. So we have the remote guest feature in both of these devices and the Mini. Amazingly, you do not have mix minus. And I did a video on making use of the remote guest feature in these devices without mix minus. And very simply, the solution is use the YoloBox for production and make yourself a remote guest in your own show. So use an iPhone or Android phone, doesn't matter, or a laptop as your camera, and then listen to the show from that feed, from that device. And that way you won't hear your own audio, but you will hear everything else. That's the workaround. In the newer boxes, you have mix minus in here. So you're able to, in the audio mixer, you have the mix minus in the audio mixer of the Ultra and the Extreme, so that you can say, I don't want to hear my own microphone with a tiny bit of delay constantly going in my ears and throwing me off. Let me listen to everything. Let me listen to the whole mix minus myself. That's what mix minus means. It's a very standard term in production. Question comes in. Is there an option to add a YoloDeck mute button for an audio source? I don't think so, but we can check. Good question. And that's part of being live. Look what I have. YoloDeck. Me over. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to look at the top of my head for a second while I find the USB. There it goes. It's booting up. There we go. Pip, 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 pip. I love the fact that it just like populates. We're going to come over here to, it's in here, down the bottom, YoloDeck configuration. Yes, I know, configure. And it's going to take you technically to another app, okay? And then all this stuff comes in. And let me do a side-by-side with just that one. So, what was the question? Mute button. Video source, we're looking for audio. Auto switch audio. Let's go in the audio. Program plus minus, monitor volume minus and plus. Does not look like, there's the background music section because the new update has background music, PDF, image, scoreboard, comment tab, function, PTZ, other. Let's check the other. Last config, next config. So you can do pages. So the answer is no. But thank you for the question. Yes, I want to exit. So I'm going to unplug that because I don't want them to be too different. But that is the magic of a live show. I can check it out right now while you're watching. So thank you very much. And again, if you have any questions, let me scroll up here. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. We got this live show going, and that's the magic of doing this. We have this live show going. And if you are watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, all of your comments are being brought to me by Restream. I have an affiliate link. If you want to try this virtual studio in the cloud out for yourself, you can try it out with this affiliate link. I might make 10 cents, whatever. We'll see. I'm trying it out. Feel free to use this or not. You can type it in Restream or use your phone and scan the QR code, and that will take you to sign up. And again, there is a free account. You have full use of the studio. In the free account, it'll put a little watermark in the corner there, but you could still use it. You could still try it out, do all these different things. I produce this show in Restream and have done so for over a year. I even produce shows for clients in Restream, from pre-show music to post-show music, side-by-sides, giveaways, slide presentations, and more, completely in Restream. So it is a very capable in Restream Studio. And I just did an episode, let me hide this. I just did an episode of I just did a video. Let's go to my videos. Right here. I just did a video, Restream Studio, where they added the ability to add multiple cameras, 3 cameras, into Restream Studio. And it's almost there. Again, audio seems to be the challenge for most of these companies. They don't realize how important good audio is. So the audio mixing and viewing and monitoring and handling in the Cloud Studio is kind of like the audio mixing and monitoring capability in my YOLO boxes. So let's go back to this. We have the audio. You can see the audio meters. Okay, this is one area that is, I will, with the person who commented, is completely different. Over here, it's bigger. I see 1, 2, 3. Over here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a lot smaller. You've got numbers. I'm not going to take these numbers to be completely dB scientifically accurate. And in the end, it really doesn't matter. It just has to have a good level and sound good. Don't distort. Don't be too quiet. You're good. Audio is not, audio is fine unless it's bad. But you don't want to be bad. So program on and off. Program on and off. I don't know why you would want to turn program audio off, but you can. Monitor level. So your monitor level, hopefully, is, if you bring this down. Oh, good. So it used to be that if you brought the monitor level down, the program audio goes down. And I'm like, no, I want to turn down my headphones, but I still want to see that it's going out at a good level. And even this basic audio meter is something that Restream does not give me yet. I keep begging them for one. So this works properly. So you can bring that back up. So you can bring your monitor back up. It would be nice if it had snapped to 0, but whatever. So HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3. I've got my different sources in here. And now, like we're talking about audio follows video, you can say audio follows video. So if I switch to this, you can see how it switched and turned off input 1. And then when I switched back, it turned back on input 1. But what if I have like sportscasters? I always want to have them be able to talk, unless they don't want to say anything. So I want to say over here, let's go close on this one. I want to say on this one, HDMI 1, always on. But HDMI 2, audio follows video, audio follows video. So those, I'll hear that audio if I cut to it, but even when I cut to it, my main audio, my announcer is still on. So, hey, Jane, can you tell us what's going on the field? Jane starts talking. So now her audio is, I wish I had individual audio meters on here so I could see what was going on. We don't. That is available in the newer devices to have individual meters. So now you can hear her, but you can also hear us. And then so back to so thank you, Ray, back to you. Or they could even ask a second question. So does he feel he's going to be able to get back on the field? Hey, Jack, do you feel you're going to be able to get back on the field? They can contribute to the show, even though I've switched away, and then back to them, and then her audio is off. So that's really cool. Now the thing it's not doing is it didn't indicate when I switched to HDMI 2, it didn't indicate that it's on. So it's either on or AFE. What this one does do properly, or let me go back over here side by side. What this one does do properly is when I switch, it's indicating which is on. This one's on. This one is not. If I go back to me, yes, I'm already on. If I go to her, HDMI 2, it should indicate that this is now on, and it's not indicating that. Possibly the 5.92 update, they could fix that. because that's not an extra CPU increase, load. It's just updating what the screen is showing, which it's doing 60 times a second anyway. All right, so that's the audio meter. You've got a little bit of delay here that you don't have over here. So if you need to adjust the timing of things, especially if you're bringing in line audio that is immediate and analog into a system where you're getting cameras that have to be delayed to be synced, it is standard. That is a fact of life. And you need to delay the audio that's coming in analog to match. But even if you're coming in here and you have like an NDI, it's going to have even more of a delay, another frame of delay, and you want to delay the audio from this camera to match that camera, you can now do that. You've got different delays over here. At the top, you can make this full screen, gives you a little bit more workspace. You can close it, and you have auto gain, which you also have over here. And you can see it's just this text is just a little smaller than this. It's the same text. Come back out, come back out, back. I guess you got to hit just the arrow. And again, you got the audio mixer. There's your little info. There's your little info. So got it. So here on this screen, you keep the little info. On the other one, you don't. Next one is background music. There is no background music, so ignore this one. So you can add files. You can include the volume of the background music. One would think that would also be over here, but I digress. And then you can add tracks from the media that you put in. You have scoreboards. So this kind of looks the same. And then you have the scoreboard display on and on. Look at that. They even kind of look the same. Again, if you've not used the scoreboard, you can mess around with it and do all this. When it's got the dotted line, it's almost on. And then when you hit the check button, then it's on. Unless, of course, you want it over here in the corner, in which case now you can't hit the check button. They have not fixed this yet. I don't know why. Oh, let me put it down here in the right corner. Now you can't hit the check button. You can look at that even closer. Where's the check button? I don't know. Eventually, I hope maybe they might fix that. You can adjust the size, bigger and smaller. You can adjust the size, bigger and smaller. And again, team 1, team 2, period, first half. The scoreboard styling is going to be very much the same. The names, the team names and colors and logos, team names, colors, and logos. And then when you drag it from the bottom, all of that is the same on both of these units. Here you can see again, both of this is the same on both of these units or both of these versions. So that didn't change very much. What did change, however, is your scoreboard styling. Just not that long ago, this was your scoreboard. Let's simplify the background a little bit. This was your scoreboard, change the colors and everything, but that was it. Unless you use YoloCast or the online cloud web overlays, which you could do. But if you really just wanted it all on this device and you're going to use the YoloCast to adjust the scoreboards, because you could do that and hand that to somebody else. What you did in the new version is, look at that, there's a new icon. So I'm going to click on that icon, and now I've got kind of like, this is the styling that, let's go close up. The top one is the styling that it kind of comes with, logos, team, score, timing, and then the game at the bottom. That's what it comes with. Everything after that, this one, that one, and on, these are all new, available to the Pro, including some more vertical ones and clearly a baseball diamond one at the bottom there. So lots of other capabilities in here. And again, both of these are able to utilize the cloud graphics that you can really customize. There's dozens of sports scoreboards there that you can customize. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a delay, and you're going to, if you're streaming, you already have that internet connection. So having the graphics come in via the web is not that much of a stretch. Next up is replay. So you can see over here, I've got a replay button. The replay over on the old one is down here, replay settings. So over here, you can see replay on or off. Turning it off means it's not constantly doing it. Over here, it's technically always, over here, you can see the replay is, I can disable. On the old version, it's kind of like, I guess it's always on. It's always buffering. It's always using your SD card to record video. And then when you hit the replay button, boom, there it is. Over here, you're able to turn it off. Like, just don't do that process. Do less, which gives you more CPU to do other things, which makes me wonder. I'm at 41%, right? So if I turn it on, it does jump up. I'm as high as 52%. So it adds another 10% or so to the base processing that I have going on. If I turn it off, that frees up resources to go someplace else. Awesome. I actually love that. But you can see replay settings. Here we go. 10-second, how fast, replay audio, mute other sources. Come on, scroll up. Oh, mute other sources. Replay logo. You can have the, the logo here. So you can show the replay logo. What do you want it to be? You can add a replay logo. Intro and outro, like I said with this one, that is your stingers. Your stinger in, here I am, and then back out of the replay. And then, of course, you can have your fade, your intro and outro, and your replay mode preferences as well. Maybe you want to like mark a replay. That was a great score. I want to hold it. I just don't want to use it just yet because somebody got hurt. So, hey, you can say, always play now. Let me bring this up full. Always play now, always use later, or always ask. So you can say, replay, and it'll come up. Now, yes, or now, no. So that's really cool. It really does facilitate the use of the different replay capabilities between the different things. And so you can see how replay has grown from this to this. More capabilities, more functionality, stingers, now or later, things like that. You can see up here, there's a little info. Over here, it lost the info. I don't know why they go away, but they do. Honestly, though, one of the things that I appreciate with the older one is the replay is not down here in the bar. Because if I'm going to use replay, I'm going to use replay. Once I set up my stingers and the settings for how fast and I don't really see myself needing to change these a lot, that I need to have it on always taking up space on the bottom bar. I'm all for just the things that I need to use on the bottom bar. One of which is bonding. If I'm not paying for bonding, why do I have this icon in the bottom bar? Why is it the first icon? The first thing I would want to have is overlays and audio mixing and comments. There's your comments over there. Those are the things I would think would need to be accessed a lot during the show. And thankfully, you can manage that bar a little bit now. So let's get out of replay. Let's see, we're in replay. You got your auto switch. So you can see this is pretty much the same. Hasn't really been updated. And there's no info box on either of these. Yay. And that is the end of the tabs over here. Next up is your comments. Oh, let's go back. Comments. And you can see if I tap on this, they look exactly the same. Haven't changed in years. Be nice to have like a more vertical one. If you want to put the comments off to the side, that would be kind of cool. And then you could attach that. Like if we could attach the comments to a particular scene, so that when I want to bring up comments, now I'm pushed over to the left and then the comments are over to the right and a big tall thing. So if people are asking long questions like with corporate stuff, that would be great, as opposed to these, they all have to be long and on the bottom, but it is what it is. Come back out, come back out. And next one is recording settings, which over here is actually in your recording limits is over here. Your encoding settings is over here. So that's kind of all in your storage settings. Where's it going to go? Those are all in your settings. Because technically, if you're going to record, I just need the record button. I don't need ready access to change my recordings. I'm not going to do that while I'm in a show. I don't need it there in the bottom bar. It should actually be over here in settings. Record to the SD card, 10 minutes. These are my encoding settings. And then you can change those. Come back out. And then this is your transitions. Again, I'm almost always going to cut. I'm not going to be changing how I do things a lot. I expect certain things to fade. I'm not going to be using a directional wipe, a translation, a window slice, a simple zoom, across zoom, squeeze, flip page. I'm not going to be using these. I don't need this down here. Ugh, it frustrates me. So tools order, I would just talk about this. I can take off network bonding. I can take off the invite guests because I'm not going to use it. I can take off the scoreboard because I'm not doing sports and I'm not going to need the replay and I'm not going to need the auto switch and I don't need the transitions bar. And now when I say done, look at that. My bar is a lot simpler. You know, now because I do actually need to set recording, I can't hide it because then you can't access it in settings. It has to be through that tab anymore. If I'm not using background music, I can get rid of that too. Done. And then I can back out and you can see I got titles, streaming destinations. I technically don't need streaming destinations once I set them. If I'm in the middle of a stream, I'm not going to be like, wait, now let's go over here. Wait, stop. Let's go. Now let's go. I'm not going to be changing those things during the show. I don't need them there along the bar. Now, one of the other things you can do with the tools order is, I mean, it's not even, oh, there it is. I can move platforms down. You can change the order of these things. And so now I've got overlays, audio mixer. I can even move that down. Once I get going, I really need overlays and comments to be the first two things. I say done, and there they are. The two things I need most are right next to each other. And that is a great feature. And then over here, I think, can you? No, this is pre being able to do any of that with the tools. So the tools being added to be customized and moved around is a newer feature than over here. But I do like that some of the things that were broken out into tabs are still in the settings and tucked away. They don't, you know, my encoding settings, my recording, my storage, my replay settings, all of that is just tucked away in that. If I'm not doing auto switch, you know, that could be tucked away as well. And most of the rest of the settings are going to be the same as well. In settings, let's go back to the tools order. There will be show CPU usage. You can turn that on and off because that's a new thing. Streaming mode. You know, again, we talked about using the settings. The encoding settings for the stream are 1080p. Then that's separate from your encoding settings. Oh, this is okay. So it is the same. You still only have the one encoder on the Pro. It's the Ultra and the Extreme that lets you separate your recording from your stream. With the Pro, you just have the one encoder. So whatever you set for streaming in settings, you know, I want to stream at 5,000 bits. Well, that's also your recording. You know, frames per second. Am I doing 60? Yeah, I know. Let's do 60. 1080p, 60. Oh, sorry, you're looking at why are you looking at the wrong one? No, you're looking at the right one. 60 frames a second. Okay, great. That is going to be my encoding and my recording because there's only one encoder on the Pro, so it is both. You don't get to have a really high quality recording and a really low bit rate 720p stream. You can't do that on the Pro. It only has the one encoder. So that is one of the key differences between the Pro, the Mini, the InStream, and the Ultra and Extreme have the ability to separate your stream from your recordings. That is one of the big reasons to step up to one of the new ones if you were looking to do that. And I come out of here, video source settings, local video settings, HDMI out, what you want it to be, USB-C out, NDI out, you can, oops, sorry, NDI out, you can see I can turn that on. So I got 39%. Let's try and turn that on. Got it. So I'm at 39% and I go from 39 to 47 or so, varying. And you can see at the top of that, let me just go over this number at the top. It fluctuates. It fluctuates a lot. There's always a lot going on. There's basic operational tasks, then there's the application tasks, there's video encoding, all of this is going on. So this number is going to fluctuate a lot. You know, 40 to 50 is okay, but then if I start adding things and I have more going on, if I get to 70, 80%, remember, it's not just going to be 80%, it's going to be bouncing up and down. And there is going to be moments where that 80 could be 90, 95%. That is going to mean you're kind of like hitting the ceiling at that point. Even if it just says 80, I wouldn't recommend going any higher than 80, and having the speedometer, having that meter tell you and keep you informed of how hard you're pushing your Pro is a very, very valuable feature to know where you sit. If I only have a couple things going on and I'm down at 50 and 40%, it's taking it easy. It's just driving along. It's cruising. I'm not going to be at 37%, but you can see I went from 37 to 36 to 62. There's a lot of bounce going on. There's always things going on. Like, if I'm recording and it needs to segment a file, it's for that moment, it's going to be doing a little something. And that can, if you don't have enough headroom, that can impinge on your production. All of a sudden you drop frames. All of a sudden it gets a little herky-jerky. So keep that on. I would recommend keep that on all the time so that you can see what is going on. Very critical. A couple questions came in. Let me scroll down. A couple questions came in and see what we got going on here. Can we add camera PTZ controls on the YOLO deck? I don't think so yet. And even on the Pro, it's a little challenging. I actually didn't set up a PTZ that I could bring in to demo that. Sorry. But I have not seen that they have made it easier, because when I say NDI, it goes out and finds the camera. And then when I say, okay, now I want to control the camera that you've already connected to, it's going to say, well, what's the IP address? I'm like, you should know. You are connected to it. Internally, you have the IP address to send those packets, to get those packets from the camera. Use that. But it asks me for the address. I don't understand. The audio YoloBox Extreme no good in the transmission to Facebook or Quest to mock errors. No audio. The audio no send clear for the Extreme. Interesting. I've used the Extreme. No good in the transmission to Facebook. I have streamed to Facebook in the past, but there's been a couple updates since I have done my live show, which was about a year ago. And I use the Extreme for that because I use different tools for different things. I don't use the same thing every day. And I would definitely post about issues with the YoloBox Extreme audio to Facebook in the user group if you haven't already. Messages on the PRL. I don't know what the PRL is. Messages after the updates not fading. YouTube messages on the Pro. Oh, okay. So that's something that he mentions. Messages after the updates not fading. One of the key things that I really do appreciate about the YoloBoxes that I really, really miss when I use Restream is the fact that the titles auto fade. So let me come over here and I'm going to create a graphic. I'm just going to create a lower third. I'm not even going to create a lower third. I'm just going to throw it up there. There it is. And then I'm going to come down here to the bottom and I'm going to say auto hide after 5 seconds. Done. And this is one of the things I really like about this. Oh, let me go to my scoreboard, which I hid. Can I just get rid of that? No. So you have to have the scoreboard. Hang on. Tools order. Turn the scoreboard back on. Done. So that I can come back in here and turn the scoreboard off. Go figure. Anyway, so now I have these titles. I have this graphic. I can bring it on, and then without any effort on my part, after 5 seconds, this title just fades away. Nice. I love that. And it fades nicely. This title, if I forget it's there in Restream, it will stay there for the rest of the show. And I will admit I'm human, and I have started answering a question, gotten deep into the answer, and completely forgotten that the thing is there and moved on to something else. And that, I wish these would auto fade like that one just did. It's beautiful. But what he's saying is that comments, and I don't have a comment that I could throw up there like this, down to the bottom here, there's still an auto fade. Now, here's the question. Did you make sure that you set the auto hide for the comments so that you can, done, Now the thing is, I don't have a comment here to test it with because it's not live. But he's saying that the comments after the updates are not fading, and that's definitely a bug. That would be the 5.93 update is to fix the updates not fading after the update, because they should absolutely fade. But also make sure that you go in, because if you do a firmware reset, everything, it's going to reset this, and they are not going to be set to auto fade anymore. You'd have to go in here, select this, come over here, and then select down at the bottom there, make sure that you turn auto hide off or on so that they go off. I know it's kind of, you know, the way I said it was not the best. Not sure if this is from the latest update. I love the fact that we can rename and rearrange the inputs. No, it's definitely not from the latest input. But what he's talking about is the fact that I can press and hold on something and I can move it around. So if I want to, if whatever I've plugged in is not the order that I want to use them, I can then just drag these things around. So 1, 2, 3 is 1, 2, 3, because that's how they're going to appear in here, 1, 2, 3. And that way it makes it easy to like line things up how you want them to be lined up. You know, I bring my inputs in, but if I don't use bare inputs at all, I just use scenes. You know, scene 1 is me off to the side with this box. Scene 2 is 2 people side to side. Scene 3 is 3 people. And I'm only using ever scenes. I don't want, you know, input 1, 2, and 3 to be, you know, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. I never get to the scenes. I can rearrange them and make a side by side with this and this done, and with the background and more spacing, right? Okay, there, done. So now I've got this scene, but I want this scene to be number 1. See what I mean? That is really cool. Now, if you go, let's go back to the older one with the 5 update. So go in here and add a side by side. Where is it? Side by side with this and this. Hey, let's just use those 2 inputs, the only 2 inputs I have. And then we can put the background on it. Look how similar this is. You know, we're saying these, they're not changing very much. So here, if I touch and hold that, no, you, as of the 5 update, you can't. If they came after the 5 update, all I can do is edit and or throw it in the trash. So moving them around was not something you could do in the earlier one. And then also you can see I've got 4 there, you know, in this setup. I've got 4. I don't have the ability to change the size, whereas in the new one, you can see I've got more of them here. And I believe in the settings, there is a way to also include, not the YOLO deck. You can see 3 in a row, 4 in a row. You can see it even gives you more capability to arrange this content here so that you can cram more stuff in front of you so you don't have to go scrolling. But you can scroll. So if I add, I don't have any images. Another split view of this. Next, this. Actually, I'm just building more things. Done. And then, so now you see this one over here automatically went to 3 across when I added more stuff. And then as I go, it'll just continue on. So this is doing it kind of automatically, and it only does 3. This one will let you do a more dense setup like that, 4 in a row, and that's as big as it gets. And then with each of these, you can click the switch or you can double click the switch. I personally prefer click the switch, or if you're worried about it, use the control surface. We can go over here and I can turn that off. All right. Can you do baseball scoreboard 1st to 9th innings? That's a good question. Let's go check it out. Titles. New title. Oh no, it's a sports scoreboard. Sorry. Sports scoreboard. Let's go check it out. Scroll down. I don't know why it's not a title. I mean, technically it's a title, but turn it on. Team 1 runs, team 2 runs, reset, top to bottom, inning, ball strikes, outs, run on first. Let's do a runner on second. Look at that. All pro and everything. What's the question? Baseball scoreboard first to ninth inning. Well, you can change the inning. Top of the inning. Bottom of the inning. So that's the baseball. So that's looking pretty nice to me. Here, let me bring it up full. So you can see that a little bit better. I can, bottom, top of the inning, fourth, fifth inning, balls and strikes, or not. Oh, pitching, Tanner Wilson. Where's it getting that from? That'd be a lot to change. Oh, nope. There you go, different runners. And then scoreboard styling is the colors and design, team 2 logo, font, text background color, game name, background color, player info setup. Where are you getting that from? I'm not going to type that in each time, am I? I mean, I would want that to pull from a database or something that I could, more easily bring up, because players are changing like constantly throughout the game. So I wouldn't want to have to like dive in there and type real fast and like try and update the name. Wow, that would get old real fast. But thanks for the question. We checked it out. And all the features in a Pro. Not all. There's definitely not all the features of the Ultra in the Pro. The Ultra still has 4K. The Ultra has 4K, the Pro does not. The Ultra has multiple NDI inputs, the Pro does not. The Ultra has mix minus on the audio for your remote guests, making remote guests productions very easy. The Pro does not. The Ultra has separate encode for stream and your record. The Pro does not. So very different machines. There's more parity in terms of the small features that are not very CPU dependent have been, things brought down to the Pro. But definitely the Pro is where it is. Now, personally, I would love to see, again, as I mentioned earlier, I would love to see a Pro V2. Keep it, like it is. Maybe tweak the screen, even keep the screen. I'd make the back easily removable so you can take out the battery and replace it after a year or two, because batteries die. As we all have cell phones, we know batteries die. It's just a fact of life. It's not a YOLO problem. It's a battery problem. I would love to see a better processor, even if it doesn't do 4K. Even if it doesn't do 4K. Putting a newer version of the same exact processor in there would just, the 60% I'm doing now would become 30%. Meaning more reliable frames, meaning I could then have more graphics. I could have the replay going. It just makes me more confident in the device. And also makes it so that, hey, the Pro 2 now can get other features down the road. Maybe I can add a second NDI input because there's the CPU, I've got more room overhead now to add more features like a second NDI input and things like that. Maybe if they do have a Pro 2, you could add a second chip to the motherboard so you can separate encode for recording versus encode for streaming. The Pro 2 now, same 3 inputs, same USB, same size, same design, same lightweight, same everything, but a couple key feature benefits that will let it carry for the next 3 years. That would be what I would love to see in a Pro 2. I would also love to see a Mini 2. I would love to see some of these Pro updates come down to the Mini. I would love to see the InStream get some of these get some love too. And now that the Extreme and the Ultra, let's leave them go for a while. Make sure that any new bugs or whatever, you quash the bugs. Let them sit for a while. Let everybody enjoy them for a year. Yay, they're great. Don't keep, and put that work on these other models that haven't seen the love in a while. Get them, give them a little bit more features, a little bit more capability, bring them up to par, quash the bugs that have been sitting around for a while, and possibly, once they're all brought up to like where they are, like the Pro kind of is now doing everything the Pro is going to be ever doing. We're not going to be adding NDI. We're not going to be adding power over Ethernet. We're not going to be adding separate encode for the recording in the stream. We're not going to be doing that. That's it. The Pro is what it is. But making a Pro 2, that is something I think a lot of people, a lot of Pro users, this is a good device. But now the Pro 2, I would give it a different color body. Give it a red, rubber ring around the outside, just to make it clear this is the Pro 2, not the Pro. Make it very easy to see the difference and let people just dig in and enjoy the Pro 2 for the next few years. That would be my suggestion. And again, my name is Anthony Brokus. I am the chief gearhead here at StreamTek. I'm wrapping up now. So if you wanted to hop out, you can hop out. But I thank all of you for being here. You helped make the show. And I really thank all the people that contributed really good questions. We dove in, we checked things out. I thank everyone who comes to these live shows. You really help make the shows. Thank you very much. Thank you all for chiming in where you're watching from today and throwing those streaming questions in. That really helps drive the show, especially as I go through. I can explain things. It's going to be very dry unless I really want to know what you are thinking, and that really helps drive it. One last time, if you are at all interested in Restream Studio, which I use for all of these shows, and bringing in the comments, sending the video out to, a half dozen destinations, getting the comments back from a half dozen destinations, it's all through Restream Studio. I'm actually live in a Restream Studio right now, looking at all the comments on the screen, able to look at all my scenes. I can bring in extra cameras if I wanted to. You could go check it out with my affiliate link. You could point your phone at the QR code and go in there. There's a free account. You get to do everything in Restream Studio yourself. The free account has a little bug. I don't know what corner it's in. I pay for it, and I have been using it for years, so I think I can stand by the product by saying I've used it for years as my go-to for aggregating my output to all of you and allowing all of you to be part of the show by bringing in the comments. This is what I use. So feel free to, chime in on that or jump in on that if you are interested in checking it out. Again, free account, follow my link, and if you sign up, cool, I'll make 50 cents. Lastly, if you haven't, you can find Stream Technology on YouTube, and if not YouTube, you can also find Stream Technology on Facebook. That's where we post updates on the shows. And till then, I thank you all for being here, and I will say thanks for watching.